thumbs up when this thing is live. Dun, 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 dun. Yo, yo! What's going on, everybody? How is everybody going on? Guys, welcome to the big show. So, guys, I'm really pumped today to have a guest on. As you guys know, we're in our cryptocurrency chat room trading, every day. And everybody, we're always trading so many different tickers. But as you know, with crypto traders, the ones that they love are all the smaller ones that are cheap, that have big potential and real cool technologies. Some of the ones that everybody always asks me about is IOST, TRX. There's a whole host of them. And so we thought, rather than just sitting there with our trading view charts and speculating on what the heck IOST does or what they have going on, let's go straight to the source and bring on somebody that can actually give us the information that we're looking for. So I've got my good friend up here, Jimmy, who is, guys, it is 5 a.m. where he is. So give him a big thank you for coming on, because, man, who wants to wake up at 5 a.m.? The reason you become a CEO of a company so you don't have to wake up early anymore. And here he is waking up right in the morning to tell us a little bit about what they going on. So Jimmy, welcome. First of all, thank you for having us on. I know it's a little bit early. Where are you right now? Where in the world is this traveling CEO?
Hey guys, really glad to be here. I'm actually currently in Asia right now. I'm in Beijing for the day, and I'm actually flying to Korea in about 6 hours, I think. Then I'll be back to the US in about a week. Yeah.
Awesome. So IOST coin, right? iOS coin. So what is it that you guys do? So one thing, and I want to kind of I like bringing people on, because right now in cryptocurrency, with a year ago, everybody just talked about the potential of cryptocurrency, right? That it's going to do this and it's going to change the world and this. And then now this year, everybody's like, oh, they don't do anything. They don't have any value, right? They don't have any product. They don't have anything, right? 6 months ago, everybody, you could say anything. Oh, XVG, they do porn. Oh my God, that's the future, right? And everything was just amazing. And now, really good projects or really interesting things that are technologies that are happening, everybody just looks at the negative and says they don't have anything. They just always say they don't have anything, right? And so why don't you tell us a little bit about your company, your background, and what the heck you guys do? What is this coin all about?
Yeah, I mean, in short, we're building a better version of EOS, or better version of Ethereum. We're trying to build a more scalable version of Ethereum, and compared to EOS, we're trying to be more decentralized. The product is going to be launched by the end of this year, so I think in about a few months, or actually quite soon, you're going to see the actual product, right? You guys are talking about. And June is actually a big month for us. The testnet is coming with basically all the functions running on a demo version of the mainnet, right?
Sure.
And you guys can try it out, try the performance, check out what's going on. Should be straightforward, and unlike the other project who actually launched a very technical testnet where, to be honest, regular person cannot really test out and see what's going on, we're going to actually build a few demos on top of it. So even you don't know the technology, or you're not actually a CS major or things like that, you can still play with the testnet, see what's going on, experience it, and actually know what we're building it. Okay?
Awesome. So you say we're a more decentralized, different version of Ethereum. So in essence though, in practical terms, what would somebody do with your network? Because the thing is, with Ethereum, of course people know, right now Ethereum is just really used to launch ICOs, right? Sure, they can do some smart contracts, but in general, it's for ICOs. So what else can they do?
So it's very straightforward, right? So in theory, we actually build a more scalable.
Oh, hey Jimmy, can you turn up your volume? Some people are saying that the mic is low.
No problem. Is it gonna be better this way? I'm trying to get closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean it's quite straightforward. So back then, actually the first time I met Vitalik was in 2014 back in Stanford. He was giving a speech there. Back then he was nobody, right? Ethereum was like 10 cents or something like that. And in 2015, that's the first time I started to buy Ethereum. That was like $1 Ethereum. I've got quite a bunch of Ethereum. Unfortunately, I sold them at $16. But it happens. And the only reason that I actually sold out my Ethereum back then was that I started to realize that things that Vitalik wants to build, like his original vision, cannot actually be established on top of Ethereum, right? Like a lot of people know that Ethereum has a scalability issue where it doesn't really handle a lot of transactions per second, or has a pretty high latency, things like this. The transactions will confirm in like a slow way. But it's actually quite straightforward, right? Like this is actually part of the reason why a lot of the applications or a lot of the actual use cases you're actually talking about aren't launched yet, right? Like people say, hey, centralized exchange is really messed up because you deposit your money into their account and they do whatever they want. You don't even know where their offices are. This is really dangerous, right? Like for Bitfinex, they have the USDT problem, Tether problem, all these issues people have been talking about every single day. But you don't have an alternative right now, right? Like you can't really be going for all this decentralized exchange and saying, hey, what's up? Like because they're only building this on top of Ethereum right now. Ethereum only handles like 20 transactions per second. So Binance, for example, this exchange alone is handling thousands of transactions per second already, right? Let alone combining all of them together. So centralized exchange right now is still totally dominating the market. And a lot of other industries too, right? Like the other example I would like to give was online advertising, right? A lot of people were saying, hey, we have this awesome idea, right? Like online advertising is broken right now because Google or Facebook can lie about the clicks or impressions or things like that, right? They can say
they do lie about it.
Like got viewed by 1 million people, so I'm going to charge you 100K, but maybe in fact only get viewed by 5 people, right? But there's no way for you to prove them wrong because they have a very centralized database in their own server set, and you can't be going there and check out the data and see if anyone actually changed it. But if we put this on distributed ledger, put this on blockchain, this is awesome, right? There's actually no way a centralized entity can control the data anymore. But here's the fact: like how many transactions or how many clicks or how many impressions you think Google or Facebook are handling, right? And you send a number. This is totally beyond the capacity of Ethereum right now. That's why there are people building a more scalable version of Ethereum. Actually, back in 2017, like EOS, right? EOS is probably the most popular one. But then another problem came. It's like EOS, by scaling the network, EOS introduced this thing called supernodes, right?
Yep.
So instead of being as decentralized as Ethereum, where Ethereum has actually more than 30,000 nodes, EOS decides that we should only have 21 nodes, right? Only 21 supernodes and figuring out what's going on. But problem here is again, it's like if you only have 21 nodes here. How would you stop people from, figuring out, who formed their ILS or things like that? Like for a fact, I already know that, the European nodes, right, are actually controlled by some Chinese people. So this is really messed up. In theory, you don't have the 21 nodes, but probably in the future you're gonna see the whole 21 nodes are controlled by 3 or 4 entities.
So Ethereum is essentially too slow or not scalable in some manner.
Yes. And EOS is too centralized, right?
Okay.
So what we want to do here is we want to be as decentralized as Ethereum, and we want to be as fast as EOS. So by the end of this year, we're gonna have a better platform, a more useful infrastructure to actually build, the original vision of what Vitalik wanted back in 2015 or back in 2016. Because Bitcoin actually doesn't need to scale, right? When you actually talk about a store of value, I don't need to transfer like gold to you like 20 times. Like it's like 20 times a day, right? Like I only transfer this maybe once in a few months or things like that.
Sure.
You don't need to. That's the point, right? But Ethereum is different. We are actually building a platform, an operating system. We are building Office or Mac OS. We are depending on other developers to build their things on top of your platform, right? You have to support all these transactions. Either the throughput or the latency. it has to be fast. It has to be scalable.
So how did Ethereum's price, are you thinking it's so high because it was the first one to the market?
Because of that CEO. Like, here's the deal. Like I know that even Vitalik himself, he sold 90% of his Ethereum underneath $10. Underneath $10, right?
Sure.
Because even him, he hasn't thought of this type of outcome that people are using Ethereum to issue all of their tokens and things like that. So, you know, if you can see all this project, each one of them, they're raising like 30, 50,000 Ethereum. Like EOS raised millions of Ethereums, right? So if you do this, and they don't really sell after the raise. So, you know, obviously the price is going to go up because if you only invest, you have to buy Ether.
Sure.
And the project, they don't really sell it.
Smart.
So, yeah.
Okay, so your network, when it launches, has the potential to be faster, more scalable, and more decentralized in Ethereum and EOS. But of course, to actually have your price go up, people have to use the network, right? So what are you guys going to do to actually bring mass adoption? Because obviously Ethereum, on top of having a really cool name, right? That's the one that everybody talks about. Like, I hear more people talk about Ethereum than they ever do Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, nobody uses Bitcoin to send money, right? You would just send PayPal. It's faster and it's easier, right? Why would I send anybody Bitcoin if I could just PayPal them? So Bitcoin really doesn't have any point to it beyond the gold store of value.
Yeah. So for us, it's actually straightforward. A few things we're doing here. One of the things we have announced is actually in a few weeks ago, we announced this project called Theseus. Theseus is an organization we incubated at IOST together with CwK Capital and a bunch of top-tier VCs. What Theseus does is Theseus basically is a corporation or an organization. It does one simple thing, that it builds decentralized applications on top of IOST, right?
Yep.
So if you think about it, it's actually very, very, very interesting. Essentially, we're building an operating system here. And if you look at the traditional internet industry, when you're talking about the Android system or the Mac OS system or the Windows system, the actual company, they actually ship out the operating system with some softwares, right? It's not like you bought a computer, it has Windows on top of it, it doesn't have any single software. You have to download all the rest of the stuff. Like, they have the Internet Explorer, they have the Microsoft Office, they have the calculator, they have a few things that can use. Even back in, like, you know, when you're using like Windows 95 or Windows 98 or things like that, there are a few things you can use. So Theseus is basically doing the same thing. By the time we ship out our mainnet end of the year, right, we are actually going to have a few dApps that are built by the official, right? Like, we are going to build the Office. We are going to build the Internet Explorer. We are going to build the calculator on top of our operating system by the time we ship out it. So you can actually, you know, hopefully Theseus can build a few applications that can actually be used by, you know, millions of users. So, you know, that alone will add some value here. And in the meantime, you know, we are also incubating other app teams to be built, you know, for them to actually build their applications on top of IOST, right? And we're also, you know, launching online courses with a few websites. You know, the founders of Code Academy or General Assembly or Skillshares, those are the biggest online programming education websites, right? The founders of those websites are already advisors at IOST, right? You can check them out at their website, and they are going to help us to launch a few online courses on top of their platform.
Awesome.
So in the future, you know, programmers and developers, they can actually learn how to code on top of IOST directly from day one, right? Even they were not familiar with this on Ethereum or whatever. Like, if they want to learn about blockchain, IOST can be their first platform, right? Because if you look at what's going on today, although that we think a lot of people are in the crypto market, but the actual mainstream are still out there. They are not in the market yet, even for the developer community, right? So those are the things we're doing for the apps and developers. And also we have another huge news coming in June, in a few weeks. Unfortunately, I can't say this right now because it's yet to be announced, but this is going to be huge for the ecosystem. I'm super, super excited. You guys are you're gonna know this in I think 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Awesome. So give me an idea. So, you know, obviously these networks, you know, you have your smart contracts and these kind of transactions, and then people always talk about dApps. Out of the dApps, like anything you see, any industry that you see has real potential using dApps, or any dApps that you've seen that you're like, hey, this could be something that's really important down the road that has a lot of potential? Because a lot of people don't even understand what dApps are.
Yeah, I mean, so by its literal meaning, dApps means decentralized applications, right? So we're building an application, but instead of having a centralized server, if we're building this on IOST or Ethereum or EOS, basically, we are using the technology behind the blockchain, trying to decentralize the data. There are a few apparent, very apparent use cases here. Decentralized exchange being one, right? Our advertising platform being one, and a few other things. Potentially, people are talking about some, social network stuff to protect privacy. A lot of other interesting gaming as well, right?
So for
there are a lot of interesting industries can be explored, and here's the thing. Like I think till today, we are still at a very early date of blockchain, right? Like we're at a very, very, very early age of it. So, back in 1997 or 1998, right? People were so excited about internet, and people were imagining about all this fantasy. I mean, they have all this fantasy about internet. But if you look at it today, the internet has become a lot bigger than people have imagined back then. And not only that, it's like a lot of the use cases people were talking about back in 1997 actually didn't come true, right? A lot of them were people's fantasy about what's going on, but people who never thought about, hey, we can order food, we can actually call taxi, we can get Uber, we can go whatever on your phone right now. This is crazy, right?
Sure.
So back in 1997, so it's the same thing for blockchain. So there are a few use cases we're thinking of today. I think some of them will be realized, some of them will not. And in the future, a lot of the use cases we haven't thought of today will also show up. So, we are very optimistic about the industry. We're super excited. I think, blockchain has totally revolutionized the relationship between people, the actual, the fundamental of the economy here. So this is super exciting. I think, all of the people here, at least you should be understanding what's going on. You should try to learn about it. This is not a advice for trading or whatever, but at least you should get to know the technology. I think, this is quite important for anyone, really.
Man, I can feel your passion for this. That's awesome. And guys, so that's so true, right? The biggest and the best technologies that everybody will be talking about in 10 years, nobody's probably even thought of that idea yet, right? It doesn't exist. And so a lot of times, like when we're thinking about stuff, like it's not even on your mind, but the underlying foundation is being built right now so that those type of things, can launch, right? If you told somebody that, right, we'd be wearing virtual reality masks in your own home, right, for $200. Facebook just had their Oculus Go, right? For $200, you could live in a virtual world. People say you're crazy, right? Like, how can that be? That's straight out of a movie. But like, those things happen over time, and so that's kind of where the blockchain, market is. So can you give me? So I mean, obviously, you're living and breathing blockchain and the cryptocurrency business. For the average people, like, what do you make of the current weakness that's been happening this year? Was it just because the market had gone too high and, of course, now you have to kind of even things out? Or is there something underlying that you see happening that's causing the weakness in the markets? And I always tell my students, the market is not as weak as you think because Bitcoin is still 7 times higher than it was 1 year ago,
Exactly. So here's the thing. People think we're at a bearish market right now because at one point we got to the $90,000 and Ethereum was like, $1,400, something like that, right? It was crazy. But if you look at the stock market or especially something that's really innovative, people are, to be honest, yet to understand what's going on completely. This just happens, right? It goes back and forth. And at this point, I think it's quite straightforward. Last year, it simply went up too high, and there are people that are cashing out, and till today, because of the regulation, a lot of institutions, they're yet to come, right? Like they still have the limits or the regulation reason, so they can't really put in their money into crypto. So, or it's very complicated for those people to put in money into crypto. But if you look at the industry right now, I think I saw the news yesterday. Fidelity was doing something about crypto as well. JPM or Goldman, they're all opening up their trading department or groups talking about Bitcoin. A few months ago they were super against it. If you guys remember what Jimmy Zhong said a few months ago, right? So right now they're like kind of doing this for their clients. I think in a few months or eventually after the SEC figure out the regulation in the US, in the US, they are actually going to be buying or trading Bitcoins on their own. And I think, we're going to see the volume going up soon, likely in a few months, potentially. No, I think definitely by the end of this year. So I'm not too bearish, on the market. I think this is basically a gap between a big surge and, the time that the institutions will come in. So, for me, one of the things I've learned about, my cryptocurrencies is that if you actually believe in it, you should just hold it. If you don't believe in it, don't buy it. And that's the thing, like seriously, like that's the thing for Bitcoin, right? Like it's like my first Bitcoin, I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013. Right after that peak at the end of 2013, it was like $300 or something, and then it dipped to $100 and going back up again. It was doing okay, and Ethereum, I kind of messed up there. I've been holding my Bitcoin since 2013, right? So for a long time, made some money over there. But for Ethereum, after I bought it, it's kind of shaky, right? I started, challenging myself. Hey, is it actually gonna happen? Like, this is so slow. How could people actually build stuff on the smart contract that have a lot of bugs and all this stuff? Then the DAO attack happened. I just lost faith and sold everything. So, here's the thing. All these technologies, they're relatively new, right? You have to give them room to grow. You have to figure out what's going on. You have to be able to tolerate this type of retrace, 50% or 60% or whatever. Like this is a really, really risky and new market. But here's my advice. I think you should find the real gems and hold it, and that's
sure.
it. And this is gonna be, like people are talking about, hey, my friend made 10,000 times return on IOTA or this and that or EOS, but they don't talk about, how long they've been holding it, right? It's not like they bought it yesterday and so today. So this is very interesting. So for me, I'm not really a day trader in crypto. I didn't have the time anyway, so it's a very simple strategy for me. For things I don't like, I don't touch it. For things I do like, I just go for it. I just hold it. I just have a long-term faith in it. That's awesome.
So let me ask you something. So you're a young man. You are the CEO. Well, you look young. You're the CEO of a company. Walk me through. So, like a lot of our traders, they're entrepreneurs. That's a lot of, the stock market gets a different type of customer than the crypto market. I've noticed a lot of people that trade cryptos are entrepreneurs or in the that type of space. Walk me through a day as a CEO of a $100 million, multi-$100 million company. What do you do all day? And is it as glamorous as it looks on TV?
So yeah, this is actually not the first time for me to be a co-founder of a company. This is actually my third company. My previous two companies, one of them got exited. We got a pretty big buyout, and the other one was pretty profitable, and we handled it to another PE firm to manage. So this is my third time already, and in general, I'm quite used to that style. Pretty busy. For today, for example, woke up at 5, talking to you guys, and I have a breakfast at 7 with another investor, 7:30 actually, and then we have different plans with a few meetings. I'm gonna call the team in the US. Then at about 11, I'm gonna call the team in Korea and Japan. Then, this afternoon, I have a flight to, Korea. So yeah, normally I'm traveling back and forth because right now we actually have about 70 people globally right now.
Awesome.
About 17 actually or 18 developers, and the rest of them are basically PR, community building, or dApps. Those are the people who actually are located in Korea, Japan, San Francisco, New York, Russia, and we're also going to Germany, Vietnam. We have people in Singapore as well. So
do you like traveling?
Here, and I think that's a right way to do. So we're trying to actually hire the local people and actually locally develop the community over there, the developer community, the general community. Talk about what's going on, what is IOST. So in general, starting June, June is going to be the month that we launch our testnet. In the next 6 months, it's going to be super exciting. We have a lot of news lined up, and we are going to roll out a big thing by the end of the year. And I think it's going to be very exciting. And we totally believe that we should have more people to know about us. To actually
when do you get to have any fun? So you're traveling all these different countries. Do you take any time when you're going to Russia, China, to go out and have some fun. So spending a month in Tokyo, the one thing I did notice during the daytime, Japanese people are, and all the Asian people there are very reserved. But once it gets dark, the drinks start to fly and everybody starts smiling. And people are out very late.
Yeah, I mean, so these days I'm quite busy because if you're gonna wake up at 5 or 6, you know,
you can only go out till 2.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes I grab a drink with some friends or investors at night. But you know, in general, especially for this month, things are crazy for us. We are preparing for the testnet. We're also preparing for the news we're gonna announce in a few weeks. So a lot of things we're doing here, and also the thesis thing we're doing with CwK a few weeks ago. So you know, a lot of things we're doing, a lot of ongoing projects.
So that's actually an interesting news. So you guys do have like Sequoia Capital, which is out of the U.S. the most famous or well-known out of venture capitalists, private equity, that type of thing. So you guys have some real actual names behind your company, which separates it. You know, there's some coins that, you know, they have $1 billion market cap and you don't know anything about it. You know, it's just, it happens to just exist.
No, I mean, for sure. For us, we have more than 30 institutional investors, including CwK Capital China, Matrix Partners, Gen Fund, a few other, you know, famous crypto funds as well in Asia. So, you know, we are definitely backed by legit institutional investors, actually more than 30 of them. You can check out some of them on like our websites. And, you know, besides that, even the employee-wise, right, like I know a lot of projects, they have $1 billion market cap, but they only have like 5 people or 6 people, right? Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy market. And, you know, for us, you know, we hate to be scammers. And personally, you know, I made enough money from, you know, Bitcoin or even Ethereum. I only made like 10x on Ethereum, but it's still pretty good. So we're not interested in short-term gains here. We're not interested in, you know, ripping people off or, you know, raise some money and run away or things like that. You know, we are actually want to build something, you know, that's actually legit. I mean, that's actually revolutionized enough to actually, you know, trying to make the industry better. So we have the confidence that, you know, by the end of this year, we are going to have a better product than US technically. And it's going to, you know, be, you know, as scalable as US and as decentralized as Ethereum, hopefully. So this is super exciting, you know.
Cool.
We're actually building something that's meaningful. And to do that, you know, we're going to have more than 5 people. So
awesome. Just a couple of our students, they had some questions on just some of the technology. Somebody asked, when will you guys have your own wallets that make it friendly to, you know, prevent sending to wrong addresses, allowing refunds and disputes, which I think that's one of the things that is hurting the cryptocurrency industry in general. To get real money in, like you need people like our parents, right? People in their 50s, 60s that have actual, like, they have spare money, right? Right now it's just 18 and 20-year-olds. They don't have any money, right? That's why they're just on their Binance buying TRX, right? Because that's all the money they have. But we need, like, you know, older people to come in. But the whole wallet thing, like, you can't tell my dad who's 60 years old, oh, first you're going to put money in Coinbase, then you're going to send it to Binance, then you have to send it to a wallet. That wallet is a USB, and if you send it to the wrong address, it's gone, and it's too complicated, right? So, like, will you guys have anything there? I think that really holds the market back from real money.
Yes. So, being super community friendly is one of our goals here. So, I also have 2 things that we take extremely seriously. One of them is being developer friendly, so people can build their stuff on top of ours in a very easy way. You don't have to be super technical, right? And on the other hand, we totally believe that the blockchain should be built for normal people. Like, when you use Google or Facebook, it's not like you understand how TCP/IP works, how HTTPS works. You don't have to, right? You just use a product. Same thing for blockchain. We actually use any blockchain product besides the wallet. The only thing you need to know is that this is a transparent system, cannot be rigged. It's fair. That's it, right? Like, you don't need to know anything about, hey, you know, I think this guy, they have this, like, I mean, this type of technology. They're doing sharding, they're doing that, they're doing this and that. This is not your concern, right? Like, the technology should be good enough to support the fundamentals here. And for you guys, you should just enjoy the technology and use the product. So, wallet and other things, we are thinking about it. Currently, unfortunately, we're still on top of Ethereum as for the token, like the US structure. But by the time we launch our mainnet, we're going to swap everything, just like US, and we're going to have our own wallets and everything. They are going to be more friendly than the current system, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Just a couple more questions. So, your big exchanges right now that do most of your volume is what? Huobi and Binance.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans to get listed on some different exchanges? We have a lot of Indian customers, so a lot of the Indian guys want to know when can they get something for them?
We are, so for the record, we are actually on a few India exchanges already, including Indonex, and you can actually buy IOST on India exchange already. So
cool.
That's actually not a problem. I think they opened the fiat and crypto pair already, so you can do this without any problem. So theoretically, we're not allowed to talk about any potential exchange.
No, of course.
Mentioning names, but for sure, we're always trying to provide more liquidity for IOST. So we are going to release on more exchanges, and that's the only thing I can say. So
okay,
don't worry about it. Yeah.
Last question, because I have wondered this. When I was in Tokyo, we did a startup event for blockchains where we were judging for the university kids, and I met a lot of interesting characters. Who is the most impressive or interesting person that you've met in all your travels? Because you've probably had to meet with CEOs, developers. There's some wild, really interesting people that I met. I met some guys in Israel. I would say the Israel blockchain guys are the funniest for me. I hung out with a couple of them, and they are wild.
Yeah, I mean, so individually, I've met basically all the people. I met the Binance founders. I'm actually friends with them. Huobi, the CEO. Also, I was able to meet the founder of Repo and the Stellar, Jad. I was
amazing!
Him, back in New York. He actually came to our party, or actually meet up in New York City. I think I posted a picture. He was holding a sign with me, but yeah. There are a lot of people. I think a lot of them are super interesting, very, very impressive. And I think individually it's hard to tell who's the most impressive guy, right? I think the Binance CEO is quite impressive. Jad is also impressive.
I guess for me, it's always more. There's just interesting people sometimes where you don't think they're a certain way.
I think by far Korean people impress me the most.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that I was at the subway in Korea, right? And I see all these billboards in their subway talking about Bitcoin exchange and things like that. So I was taking the subway, and I actually see like two high schoolers, right? They're probably like 15, 16 years old, and they are talking about Bitcoin. They're talking about, hey, did you buy this and this icon?
That's amazing.
Things like that. I was like, holy shit, what is going on in this country? So you see, like, you actually see like people are talking about it every day. And I actually think last time I was in Korea, they are opening up a new mall where they have like 500 smaller retailers like shops. They're actually starting to accept Bitcoins and Ethereum and more cryptocurrencies starting like in June or May. Like, so it's crazy. You have to see all this like mainstream people are actually taking Bitcoin. They're talking about it. You see the billboards everywhere. You see the high schoolers. Crazy life. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, hey, I want to thank you. I know you got a busy day. When I get back to Asia, so I should be probably in the fall, I'm gonna come and stay with you.
Awesome.
We'll go have some fun.
Check out what's up. Maybe do another live streaming with us.
Sure. And why don't you tell everybody just where to find your information? So I know you have a IOST.io is your website.
Yeah, that's the website. Yeah, if you actually just go to IOST.io, you can see all the social media accounts over there. Join us on Reddit, join us on Telegram, and we have actually Telegram groups for all different countries and different languages. Follow Twitter for sure. That's actually where we announce basically all the news. So stay tuned. June is going to be a big month. We're super excited. Okay?
Awesome, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, man. All right.
Hey, guys, I will see everybody next week, okay? Take care.